normally put me behind the camera for these things, so by way of introduction, my name is Blake Page. I'm assigned to the Public Affairs Office, and if you remember, a few weeks back, we introduced a new initiative that would strategically advance Chief Jennings' core 4 priorities of community collaboration, crime management, professional accountability, and employee wellness. This initiative is called Core Status, and it's designed to bring the community and the CMPD together to explain just how we're meeting these 4 core priorities in those individual communities. Fast forward a little bit to last week, we had the opportunity to kickstart Core Stat, where we had the opportunity to kickstart Core Stat in the Metro and Central divisions. And fortunately today we have the commanders from each of these divisions, and they're going to take a little bit of time to explain just how Core Stat will assist them in helping better police the communities that they serve. We're going to start off with someone who looks probably fairly familiar, Captain Brad Koch of the Central Division.
Hey, good morning. Thank you very much, Blake. As he mentioned, my name is Captain Brad Koch. I'm the captain over the Central Division, where I have been assigned since April of last year. And we understand as a department that there is not one size that fits all in terms of providing service and policing to our community. Now, different communities have different needs, expectations, and concerns, and we're committed to providing a customized service delivery to meet community expectations. Now, I'll refer you to Central Division, where we have several unique neighborhoods that face unique challenges and require unique strategies. One concern that we had over the past several months was an influx of larceny of bicycles. Now, bicycles is not necessarily something that you think of in terms of crime fighting strategy. However, a lot of our residents were seeing a significant increase in having their very nice, very expensive bicycles taken. We met with them, provided some community collaboration, were able to identify the individuals and made those arrests. Now, we as a police department are not going to pretend that we have all the answers, and that is why it's important to collaborate with community members who live and work in our neighborhoods. In fact, Captain Lucas V. also was part of the inaugural Core Stat, and he is with our Metro Division, and he too participated the other week. And at this time, I will ask Captain V to come up and give you a little bit of an overview of what they presented. Captain V.
Thank you, Brad. I'm Lucas Veith. I'm the captain of the Metro Division, which is anchored over in the historic West End, Beatties Ford Road. Core Stat gives us an opportunity to communicate with the community and get specific feedback back and forth, and to decide what the actual problems that the community faces and what it is that they want our officers to address. Utilizing the core 4 of the crime management, professional accountability, community collaboration, and employee wellness, taking these and having that as an approach for some of the crime issues that are at hand, both what we observe from our crime numbers and what the community wishes for us to address. One of the examples is during the Core Stat is the community leaders and members who are participating can have that conversation back and forth, not only with the division, but with the command staff for the entire department. It's also another form of transparency where we can communicate, particularly in these times, back and forth and specifically have conversations. One of the examples that we have is the high visibility initiatives we've started and conducted in the last, specifically going back to October, over 100 different individual opportunities, including foot patrols, bike patrols, walking beats, and actual community roll calls where shift briefings and officers and supervisors are in the community with the community conducting their daily brief. This provides an opportunity for community members to discuss with us what their specific problems are and to meet the officers. Officers go around, introduce themselves, step into businesses, have conversations, so that when people call 911, that it's not the first time they have an interaction with police officers. During this time, just since October 1st, over 100 individual targeted opportunities of high visibility community collaboration and crime fighting efforts were conducted just along the Beatties Ford Road corridor. That amounted to over 350 individual officer shifts being conducted along the Beatties Ford Road corridor. One of those examples is Operation Rabbit, which is a high visibility marked patrol car crime reduction effort with reducing motor vehicle crashes along the Beatties Ford Road. During that time, over 415 traffic stops have been conducted. However, only 88 of those stops resulted in citations. 345 of those traffic stops and interactions with the police were cleared by warning. During this time, we've had the opportunity of collaboration with our community, and that includes Mr. Burnell Berry, a rare Charlotte native. He grew up on the west side in the University Park neighborhood off of Beatties Ford Road. He is the founder of nonprofit One Love, and which brings CMPD and the community together, which assists families, particularly targeting needy children. Furthermore, Mr. Bob Simkowitz is a community activist in the First Ward of Uptown, and they are both here joining us today. Okay. Sorry, so Burnell Berry and Bob Simkowitz, thank you for joining us. Certainly esteemed community members. We know that you have a voice in the community and you have questions and directions and goals, and please, thank you for joining us, and we are turning it over to you. Burnell, I know you always have great ideas and great questions. Would you like to start with anything?
Yes, sir. First of all, I'd like to say good morning to everyone.
Good morning.
Thank you for having me. The first thing I'd like to do is give thanks to Chief Jennings, as well as Officer Lakia Monroe, the community coordinator, to you as well, Cap, and the Metro Division, and all of Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department for having me here today. I believe there are some key ingredients into building better relationships in the community and the police. One Love Corporation has been doing some charitable events in North Carolina since 2014, but as of 2020, we picked up the pace since we have seen our city take a decline in our youth. In October 2020, One Love teamed up with Officer Lakia Monroe, the community coordinator with the Metro Division. And since then, we have done several community events that have involved myself, One Love, Fire Station 18, and the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department. Together, we have went into different communities and brought joy, trust, hope, and respect to the children in the community, as well as the parents. At this point, I would like to take a moment and give a few ideas that I believe can help build better relationships. One, relationships, making a present not only when 911 is called, and just having police more involved with the community, letting the community know that the police have a personality. Trust. Without trust, police work becomes less effective, but with trust in the community, it can help unsolved crimes and help with investigations, because the people start to believe that the police want to make a difference in the community and make their community a better place to live. More involvement, working with activists like myself in the community is very important, because the activists are more relatable in the community than the police can be at times. When it comes to trust, in my experience, that when they see the police and the community activists coming into the community together, it makes them more acceptable to their presence. In the past 4 months during the pandemic, One Love and CMPD has made major headway by giving out snacks and etc. to the children that's homeschooling. We've noticed that by making the children happy, we touch the hearts of the parents. What the community has come to realize is that under that badge, there's a heart, a big heart. With the last couple of months ending in 2020, we had a great ending. I strongly believe 2021, One Love and CMPD will make a great impact in our Charlotte communities, because working together brings smiles to everyone, develops communication, which lessens the differences in culture sensitivity, also builds trust between the communities. That in turn can help the police be more effective in solving their crimes and in their investigations so that all the communities in our Queen City will be a great place to live. That's just some of my thoughts, and I look forward to working with you guys, and I really appreciate you guys having me here today.
No, thank you, Barry. I can't argue with anything you said.
Thank you, Captain.
And thank you, Barry. Hey, Mr. Simkowitz, how are you doing today, sir?
I am well. Thank you for having me. So I guess first of all, just want to say thank you to Officer Simpson and Officer Dunham. They've been, Simpson's been in the community for about 150 years now. But Officer Dunham has been new, and he's been very helpful as well. Great relationship with them. Appreciate being invited to the meeting 2 weeks ago and to this meeting. And what we work on is sort of the relationship between the police and the community, specifically trying to work on the relationship between the children that live in the community. And I was asked, I had some homework from that last meeting, and I sent it on to our community officers, but I guess I'll mention it here. There's a little bit of concern about homeless, and not necessarily in a bad way. A couple of neighbors would like to figure out ways in which they can help. We did reach out to Center City Partners, and we sent that feedback to our community officers. There is a concern at the 9th Street light rail station around dusk. Apparently, there is a collection of homeless that hang out there. Sometimes they end up fighting. So some folks have found that to be, I guess, intimidating. And other concerns that were brought up were lighting in First Ward Park, and perhaps like a panic button or so in First Ward Park. And what I've done is I reached out to the community officers, but I've also reached out to the neighborhood president and said, you know, maybe we should work that issue through our county commissioner. But I'm also waiting to hear back from the community officers. But you know, all in all, I'm very happy with the relationship we have. I'm very happy with the direction the chief is taking us. I'm looking forward to being able to be out in public again. But I'm now going to shut up and listen, but I really appreciate all of you.
Thank you, Bob. That was well said. And thank you. Turning back to Officer Page.
I just want to thank Mr. Berry and Mr. Sinkowitz for taking the time to become involved in our press conference today. Also, Captain Koch and Captain Fee. At this time, though, I will open it up to any questions that you may have. Just keep in mind through this virtual communication, raise your hand through the system, and we'll call on you to present your question. Nate Morbido, how are you?
Hey there, Officer Page. Good morning. Thanks for taking my question. You all mentioned trust, transparency, and community policing, and this falls in line. CMPD emailed officers late yesterday detailing the district attorney's new policy on prosecuting low-level drug cases. The DA first alerted administration about this change back in November, yet CMPD continued to allow officers to arrest people who would never stand trial. Help us understand why there was such lack of communication. Does CMPD regret that, and will CMPD continue to arrest people on drug charges, knowing the charges will ultimately be dismissed?
Nate, thank you for your question. I will have you know that the email that was sent out yesterday highlighting some of these changes is just one of the many emails that we've sent to our officers on the line. Our agency values communication internally and will continue to do that throughout the time that we partner with the court system to go through their changes. Jamal?
Hey, good morning, everybody. Just following up on that question with the homeless population, sometimes fighting. Our cameras were out there as well, and we saw some of that activity as well. What is CMPD doing to address, I wouldn't say violence, but just to address kind of those scuffles between the homeless population?
Yeah, so I've actually got the commander from Central Division here. I'm going to defer to him on that. Captain Koch?
Hey, good morning, Jamal. Thank you very much for that question. That is certainly an area of focus. obviously dealing with our homeless population in the North End encampment, Tent City around 12th, 11th, College, Tryon, those whole areas. There is certainly a need. There's a robust response needed, a significant community response that's needed, and our role is to ensure the safety of all the individuals, whether they live in a home or are currently staying in a tent. So that is certainly an area of focus. We have had some issues and crimes out there, and we'll continue to focus on that area as we move forward.
Would you say how many officers you have in that area kind of patrolling?
Well, I have a lot of officers. We have community coordinators that are specifically directed to be in that area, as well as shift officers. I also have a full-time bike squad that also focuses on that area as well. Trust me, we have a significant number of resources that are dedicated and directed toward this area. This is certainly one of my top 3 priorities, as well as the police department's priorities within the Central Division, in terms of how we work cohesively with community partners, city partners, county partners, private partners, state partners. There is a whole host of different resources that are needed to tackle this problem, and it's certainly not strictly a police problem. So hopefully that will answer your question.
Sarah.
Good morning. Thanks for taking our questions this morning. Along those lines, I wanted to ask, we only see the numbers growing in Tent City, and we've seen some accounts on Twitter of people saying that as people set up new tents and as that population continues to grow, that they've been, they're worried, they're concerned that CMPD officers would maybe arrest or try to discourage those tents from going up. Can you speak to that? Is that something that CMPD is doing if they see folks trying to set up camp there?
Hey, good morning, Sarah. Thank you very much for that question. It's good to hear from you again. Listen, we are not here to criminalize homelessness. We are not here to, there are a lot of individuals within our community that want to provide resources in terms of taking enforcement action for individuals who are coming down to assist. That is certainly not something that we are doing. And I have seen those posts on Twitter, and I can assure you that those are not accurate, and that is certainly not a stance that we as a police department are taking, and that is not something that we would ever do. So thank you for your question. I hope that answers your question.
Jonathan Lowe.
Hey there, Blake, thank you so much. And Commander Koch, good to see you. My question is kind of on that subject, and how much of you all's engagement with Tent City and the North End encampment involves your community resource officers who may be trained in the mental health aspect? Because I know that that's a big part or a big piece of this challenge is the mental health aspect and the officers dealing with that and the issues that may be coming along with this.
Yeah, great, very astute point, Jonathan, and it's good to hear from you again. I can assure you that that is certainly an area of focus. We do have crisis intervention trained officers, as well as our community policing crisis response team that do spend a lot of time in and around that area. It is also something we know we cannot do alone. We have engaged a lot of community partners. They are really, honestly, the experts in how to address this and work through the individuals who are homeless and working to get them permanent housing and things like that. And, I understand the focus on why people think that it's a police problem or a police issue, but this is so much bigger than the police, and it really takes a holistic community response to appropriately address this. So hope that answers your question, Jonathan. Thank you.
Amanda Zoe, welcome.
Hey everyone. Thank you for taking my question. I have a question related to the homeless encampment as well. Sorry to call Captain Koch back.
Hi, Amanda.
How are you doing? I have a question about some of the recent police presence. I was wondering if you could tell us anything about some of the arrests that were made last night or the night before and some of the circumstances. And then I was also curious how many crisis intervention professionals are sort of involved with that area.
You know, I'll answer the second question first. From a strictly numbers, we do have a lot of my officers that are crisis intervention trained. We do have dedicated community coordinators that are in and around that area. I believe the incident you're speaking about, there was some misinformation provided on Twitter, which I think we are going to provide shortly with a press release clarifying what exactly happened. This was an incident that happened late Monday evening. We had gotten a call about a larceny from a business along North Graham Street. And this was not related at all to homeless population. It was a call for service that we responded to and appropriately arrested the individual. And again, that information will come out shortly. And I hope that answers both of your questions. Thank you, Amanda.
Thank you.
Sarah.
Thanks. Thank you. One more question. You know, the group Feed the Movement Charlotte mentioned that over the weekend, while they were distributing food, they came across a man who was apparently living in homelessness who had passed away. Did you all respond to that call at all, or can you confirm that? Is there any details you could provide?
Yeah, thank you for that question. So I did see that tweet. I was not here on Saturday when this call for service apparently came out. Now know that a lot of times when someone calls 911, if it is a medical emergency, a lot of times those calls are immediately transferred to medic. And I could not find any calls for service where Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department officers went out to this scene. I do believe that I'm not disputing what they posted. However, I do believe that that individual was transported, and if they were deceased, were pronounced deceased at the hospital. There was not a criminal investigation that we had conducted because of that. And I would certainly, I guess, maybe forward those questions more appropriately to either medic, fire department, or certainly one of our medical hospitals that would probably be able to better answer that question for you. Hope that answers your question.
All right, everyone. Well, thank you for joining us for today's press conference. We will.
Officer Banks, Nate Morabito here. I'm hoping that I can get my follow-up in as well, since you let others ask follow-ups.
Go for it.
Yeah, so I just wanted to go back to my original question. Does CMPD intend to continue to arrest people on low-level drug charges, knowing those charges will be dismissed?
So the communications that we're having with our partners right now, we're still working through what exactly this approach looks like and how we can work with our partners over the court system and also with our employees to continue managing crime with the effectiveness that we can. And as it stands right now, discretion still lies with the officers to make that arrest. All right. All right. Last one, Jamal.
Okay, just the last question. Thank you for taking it. Have you all released, or will you all be releasing the name of the victim who was shot and killed last night off Sugar Creek?
Yes, sir. As standard procedure and standard protocol, once a family notification is made, we will make sure we release that information and a press release. I will follow up with you after this and see if that notification has been made. Thank you, everyone, for joining, and we'll see you next time.